Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Stephen. So, this week's blog is entitled From Here to There. With all of the stuff that we've been dealing with right now, with indictments and political turmoil, tribalism, collectivism, individualism, all the things that we typically talk about in these blogs, I thought it would be interesting to kind of pause and go through, I don't want to call it a retrospective, but a look at where we are, where we've been at other times in our historical development, and glean possible pathways to, not to be too religious about it, but possible pathways to salvation. Right now, the United States is in what could probably best be described as a state of divergence. Really, after the Civil War, there were two separate models that started to develop. One was individualism and the other one was collectivism. And they began this sort of divergent vectoring system away from each other. At this point in our historical development, the connections between us have really become frayed and very, very tenuous. And one of the reasons for this is that for a lot of collectivists, the Constitution represents a fundamental sort of prohibition about achieving their ultimate objective. And the flip side is also correct as well. On collectivism, there seems to be this mindset of almost denialism that starts to manifest, right? They cannot understand where the collectivists are coming from, and the collectivists look at the individualists and they can't understand where they're coming from. This is probably most easily apparent during the whole COVID nonsense that manifested. I mean, you had collectivists that had developed what could probably best be described as a religious adherence, not to science. They would say it was science, but in reality, it was towards a priesthood that they had vested with what could probably best be described as papal infallibility, right? As long as an individual held themselves out as being a member of the scientific community, then whatever they said must be seen with almost a religious doctrinal value. On the other side of the equation, we had the individualists that had become completely antagonistic towards whatever the collectivists had said, even when it was readily apparent that there was truth in the other side's message. So there's this massive level of distrust, okay? One of the ways that we could potentially bridge that gap, return to the concept of nationhood, and we go through that in the blog as well, the unique feature of America as being a nation, not because of geographical or language consistency, because we're not. We're a nation because of a political ideology that we formulated with. And the way we can return to nationhood is to reinvigorate that underlying political philosophy. Anyways, definitely read the blog. I encourage it. Always comment on it if you can. As always, train consistently, train constantly. Excuse me, I butchered that one up. Train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. Above all else, stay safe.